हेलो शालिनी जी, शुरू करेंगे क्या? अनम्यूट किया। आवाज आ रही शालिनी जी मेरी?
हाँ मैम, विल स्टार्ट।
हाँ
वनजा, विल स्टार्ट।
Okay. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, as quoted by Nelson Mandela. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. Vanaja, on behalf of UGC KGCW, welcome our management, principal, vice principal, staff, and students for the webinar entitled Guidelines and its Implications. Let us start with a prayer song, Goddess Saraswati Mantra. Dr. P. Sunita Madam to give a welcome speech.
आप सभी को मेरा हार्दिक नमस्कार। कस्तूरबा गांधी डिग्री एंड पीजी कॉलेज के मैनेजमेंट, स्टाफ तथा स्टूडेंट्स की ओर से मैं प्रोफेसर एम विज्जुलता जी, हेड डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ केमिस्ट्री, यूनिवर्सिटी कॉलेज ऑफ साइंस तथा डीन डेवलपमेंट एंड यूजीसी अफेयर्स ओयू तथा आप सभी प्रतिभागियों का हार्दिक स्वागत तथा अभिनंदन करती हूँ। हम सभी इस तथ्य से भली भांति परिचित हैं कि यूजीसी विश्वविद्यालय अनुदान आयोग एक ऐसी संस्था है जो स्वतंत्रता पूर्व से ही शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में गुणवत्ता विकास के लिए, गुणवत्ता के लिए लगातार प्रयत्नशील है। ये एक ऐसी संस्था है जो केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालयों तथा राज्य विश्वविद्यालयों को शिक्षा से संबंधित जितनी भी गतिविधियां हैं उन सभी के लिए वित्तीय सहायता प्रदान करती है। कई सुविधाएं विश्वविद्यालय अनुदान आयोग हमें शिक्षा के विकास के लिए, शोध के लिए, प्रकाशन के लिए प्रदान करता है, लेकिन इन सुविधाओं से संबंधित जानकारी ना होने के कारण, इन सुविधाओं से संबंधित नियमों की ज्यादा जानकारी ना होने के कारण हम उनका उतना लाभ नहीं उठा पाते जितना हमें उठाना चाहिए। आज मुझे बहुत ही खुशी है और गर्व है कि इन नियमों से संबंधित जानकारी हमें प्रदान करने के लिए प्रोफेसर एम विज्जुलता जी, जो कि हेड डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ केमिस्ट्री, यूनिवर्सिटी कॉलेज ऑफ साइंस एंड डीन डेवलपमेंट एंड यूजीसी अफेयर्स, हमारे साथ जुड़ चुकी हैं। हमारे लिए अत्यंत हर्ष और गर्व का विषय है कि प्रोफेसर विज्जुलता जैसी विदुषी आज हमारे साथ उपस्थित हैं, जिन्हें न सिर्फ तेलंगाना स्टेट मेरिटोरियस टीचर का सम्मान प्राप्त हुआ है, बल्कि इसके साथ ही ने कई सम्मान और कई पुरस्कार मिल चुके हैं। मुझे उनके बारे में सबसे अहम बात, सबसे अच्छी बात ये लगी कि उनके अध्यापन का अनुभव 21 वर्ष का है, लेकिन उनके रिसर्च का अनुभव जो है वो 23 वर्ष का है। इससे हमें पता चलता है कि वो रिसर्च से कितना जुड़ी हुई है। वो लगातार रिसर्च के क्षेत्र से जुड़ी हुई है। ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही अच्छी बात है, बहुत ही गर्व की बात है कि ऐसी विदुषी महिला आज हमारे साथ जुड़ी हुई है। Once again, I welcome Professor M. Vijjulata ji and all the participants who have joined us in this afternoon, and very hearty congratulations to our UGC coordinator. Hello.
Yes.
Very hearty congratulations to our UGC coordinators, Dr. M. Shalini ji or Dr. M. Vanja. Thank you. Dhanyawad.
Thank you, madam. Now I request the Vice Principal, Dr. R. Rashri Madam, to introduce today's guest speaker for the webinar.
Thank you, Vanaja. Good afternoon, one and all.
Good afternoon.
I would like to congratulate the UGC coordinators, Dr. Shalini and Dr. Vanaja, for organizing this very useful and informative webinar on UGC guidelines and its implications. I also thank the management of Kasturba Gandhi College for ever encouraging us to do these webinars and motivating us as well. I thank the ICT team for encouraging and supporting us to do the same. And I welcome the participants of today. And I'm glad to do the honors of introducing the guest speaker of the day, Professor M. Vijulata Madam, Department of Chemistry, University College of Science, Dean Development and UGC Affairs, Osmania University. Madam did a MSc and PhD in Chemistry from University of Hyderabad as Junior Research Fellow and Senior Research Fellow, CSIR, New Delhi, India. She joined as faculty in Department of Chemistry, University College of Science, Osmania University in December 1999 and has 27 years of research and 21 years of teaching experience. Like our principal madam rightly pointed out, she has more research experience than teaching. That's incredible, madam. So far, she has supervised 12 PhDs and presently guiding 8 students for their doctoral degree. Her area of specialization is organic chemistry and research area is molecular modeling and medicinal chemistry, a sandwich of computational and synthetic organic chemistry. She has 99 scientific articles in peer-reviewed journals with 630 citations to her credit. She is conferred with State Award for Meritorious Teachers 2019 by Government of Telangana. She is Fellow of Telangana Academy of Sciences, members of American Chemical Society, and life member of Indian Science Congress. She is also a resource person for many institutes like NIPER Hyderabad, JNTU Hyderabad, several postgraduate colleges, pharmacy colleges, and an invited speaker for national and international conferences. She is a recipient of major research grants from UGC, DST, CSIR, Mentor for DST Women Scientists Scheme, CSIR, etc. The list is endless. She has successfully completed 7 research projects and has 3 ongoing projects. Her research group has presented 70 papers in national and international conferences, and they have won Best Paper awards. The topics of her interest for teaching are asymmetric synthesis, supramolecular chemistry, principles of drug design and drug discovery, lead modification and SAR studies, QSAR studies, and computer-aided drug design. She is actively involved for over a decade in developing structure-based molecules as inhibitors of wide-ranging therapeutic targets using computer-aided drug design methodologies like docking, etc. Her group has expertise in synthesis and development of new antiviral, anti-cancer, and anti-plasmodial agents using CADD methodology. Recently, her group has achieved new antiviral agents in nanomolar range activity against HIV-1. And Madam is also undergoing extensive pharmacological activities, which have been carried out in collaboration with CCMB and IICT, Hyderabad. By employing computational protocols, their group has developed new nucleoside analogs, which can act as potent 2019 COVID inhibitors. At present, the synthesis of new nucleoside-based analogs is under execution. Well, Madam's profile is way too extensive and complex for a commerce person like me. But Madam, I'm sure, I mean, you got so much of experience in all areas, and we are indeed very privileged to have you on board as a research person for today's webinar. Since most of us are also unaware of many UGC guidelines, we would really want you to orient us with them today. I'm sure there's a lot to take away from today's webinar. We are indeed privileged to have a person like you as a resource person for today's webinar, Madam. Thank you very much for being there with us.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you. Now I invite Professor M. Vijulata Madam to take over the session.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you all for inviting me to this webinar. And I thank all the organizing members, principal and vice principal, Rajshri Madam, for elaborate explanation about me. I know it's a big one, but you have made it a concise thing, and I
No, I still feel that I didn't do justice to your profile here. You've done way too much, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sunita ji, for
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
for making me so excited about this webinar. So I just want to start with the webinar. I will share my PPT. Madam, can you allow me to share my PPT? Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, ma'am. So this is the topic I took for the webinar under the UGC guidelines and its implications, where I would like to talk about the new paths and avenues which we have for funding in research and development, since the universities or educational institutes or the government colleges have been the centers for research, and government although has many networks or science and technology laboratories for research and development, but still it funds most of the amount towards the universities and the colleges. The reason being that the basic science research which we talk about, or basic research which we do, is generally coming from the colleges and the universities, and this research has a potential to become an excel in the fields of development. That is the reason the government is giving lot of funding towards the research and development to the colleges as well as the universities. So this support will be given when you write a proposal from your end to the University Grants Commission or Department of Science and Technology. I will not restrict myself to University Grants Commission itself, but I will also talk about few of the other organizations which are also willing to fund for the research and development of colleges and the universities. Okay, so to begin with, I will start with the student level funding which is required for the students to or to help them get into getting the fellowships in basic sciences. First of all, which I want to talk about is Kishore Vaignanik Protsahan Yojana, which is called as KVPY, and it is a national program, and it generally identifies students who are having a talent and aptitude towards the research, and they encourage by giving them a lot of funding to pursue their research career in sciences. And also they ensure that they grow in the growth of these students will be very much high in the research field and development in our country by giving best scientific minds to the country. So the advertisement for this KVPY fellowship will be generally given in the national dailies, and normally on a technology that is May 11th, this will be announced, and also on the second Saturday of July every year, this will be given. So who are eligible for this fellowship, which I'm talking about, is students studying in 11th standard to the first year of any undergrad program can apply for this. So the students whoever are from 11th to first year of the undergrad program, they can apply for this. And also not only that, this fellowship is provided up to the pre-PhD level for the selected KVPY fellowships. Okay, so when we go for the fellowships which we are talking about, so this fellowship, this is for the first to the third year of postgrads, and the monthly income will be around 5,000, and annual contingency grant will be of 20,000. What do I mean by contingency grant is, it is meant for purchasing the books or stationery, whatever is required for the student. So that where the annual contingency grant will be approximately 20,000, which can be used by the student for many other purposes also. Apart from that, if you are in a PG level or in the 4th and 5th year of the integrated course, then the monthly stipend for the postgrads will be around 7,000, and the annual contingency grant will be around 28,000. So you can see how much amount the government is spending on intellects who are at the basic education level itself. So this, if you can grab the students, whoever are the target students, if they are interested, they can grab this fellowship, and that will be helping them in their future. Not only that you are getting a fellowship, but this will add to your resume that you can highlight this in any of the fellowships, further fellowships, whichever you require. If you say that you are a KVPY fellow, then automatically this will be upgrading your status from a normal student. So it is always good to go for this KVPY fellowships, that you have to write an exam for this. So once you write the exam and clear it, there will be an interview conducted in the national institutes or the research and development institutes like IICT or IIC Bangalore. And this fellowship is actually given by Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Okay, but this is a UGC grant which is given to Indian Institute of Sciences for uplifting the scientific minds towards and orienting them towards research. Okay, so this is one of the best fellowships I can tell when we talk about students. Other funding avenues which we can talk about are the agencies like DBT, Science, Engineering and Research Board, Indian Council for Medical Research, UGC, CSIR. These are all the other agencies apart from UGC, which also gives you funding. Only thing is they will ask you to write a proposal on a specific theme and in a specific area, and you have to send the proposal, and then they will accept the proposal. If they find the proposal is good enough for execution, then they will accept the proposal and then they will give you the funding. Apart from that, there are other different international collaborative projects also which have been funded by different agencies that can also be grabbed by the students for this research purpose. Okay, for understanding where and which agency is giving you the proposals, you have to be visiting these funding agencies websites regularly, or join a scientific group which is actively involved in such kind of activities, and then you can easily find out when the time of the proposal can be uploaded into these agencies, and when the funding can be obtained by these. Apart from that, you should also build a good relationship with international scientists of India, plus national and international scientists, plus the professors who know knowledge about these funding agencies. That will help you to find the prospects towards the funding. Okay, but what kind of projects will be accepted by these funding agencies is the project should be good, in the sense it should be a novel project. It should not be something somebody else has already done and you are trying to do the same thing. It should not be the same, but you should have something novel in your project, and the budget should not be very high. Remember, generally when you are writing a proposal, you will be more optimistic to get more of the funding from the agencies, but agencies are not in a position to fund everybody with a huge amount. So they will look for the budget. When the budget is low and you are trying to give a great amount of achievement in the project, then they will go for the proposal. So you have to be very careful in giving the budget. Don't go for huge amounts when you are writing for a budget. Apart from that, whether the principal investigator who is writing the proposal, is she or he capable for executing that project also is an important point when we are talking about the project. Okay, if the members who are actually looking into or examining your project feels that you are capable of doing this project, then they definitely will give you the project. And also, is it feasible that the project which you are writing can be done in a environment where you are working? That also they will be seeing. You might write a hi-fi project which is not of our scope, then there will be a problem in accepting the project. So you have to be very careful while you are writing a project. You have to check for the novelty, budget, whether you will be able to execute that project in your given dimensions, whatever you have in and around your working area, plus the feasibility of the project. Okay, so what kind of research proposals can be, how you can write a research proposal? A research proposal, it is nothing but your plan of study, what exactly you are trying to study. Okay, you should describe in detail what you are trying to study in a given proposal, and you have to discuss what is the study and what is the basis for the study to be done in your proposal. And the quality of the proposal should be really very good. Okay, you should write your own proposal. You should not copy something from the literature and put it, because when they scrutinize the proposals, first thing what they check is the plagiarism. Plagiarism is nothing but how much amount of the proposal has been copied from elsewhere. Okay, so that generally will be checked. So if the plagiarism is more than 30%, then your proposal will be kept aside. So you have to first of all make sure that you are writing your own proposal, and that proposal should be a quality proposal. As I told you, the novelty of the proposal should be very nice, and it should be implicable towards the work what we are doing. Okay, and when you are writing the proposal, the important elements what you have to take into consideration are the significance of the proposal, what is the background of the proposal, why you are choosing that proposal. All these have to be taken into consideration. So that when you are writing the proposal, you should first question yourself whether this proposal what you are trying to write, is it good enough? Why am I writing this proposal? What is the aim of my proposal? What is the purpose of me doing this work? All have to be questioned before you write the proposal. Okay, once you get an answer that it is an good proposal and it is of importance, then you should go for writing the proposal. Otherwise there is no point in mentioning writing a proposal and saying that the UGC or the DST has rejected my proposal. So you should make yourself think in a negative way whether you are getting this proposal, is this proposal suitable, or can I do this proposal, or is this having any significance in the real world. All have to be done. And when you go for the methods, you have to first of all design your proposal, what kind of proposal you are writing, and what you are trying to understand. Here I have put it as sample and sample size, but it is generally for statistical methods which we do. Prior to the proposal, what kind of work has been done and what new work can be done has to be checked in this. Apart from that, you also have to look for the timeline. How many years you want to do this project? Is it for 2 years or 3 years? Not more than 3 years. Nobody will give you a project more than 3 years. So you have to be careful in writing the timeline. What do I mean by timeline is, first year what you're going to do, second year what you're going to do. In the first year, 6 months what you'll be doing, next 6 months what you'll be doing. So every 3 months, if you can analyze what is your aim of doing the proposal, what are the steps which you are going to take, that is called as the timeline. And you have to be very careful in writing the timeline, because timeline also matters a lot when you are writing a proposal and when the organizers organizing institutes or the funding agencies are looking for the proposal. Okay, And when I say the background or significance, so these are the question. This is the question which you have to ask: is why is your study important? Okay, and what is the significance of your problem? Are there any questions or problems which you are answering? If someone says, so what? If you are writing this proposal, you should have an answer. Why this proposal is important to the day-to-day life? You should be able to answer those questions. Then only you should go further for writing. One more thing is you have to do a strict literature review of the work which has been done prior to your proposal, and you have to see what kind of state of art problem you have in this literature, what are the gaps which are there, and how you can fill in these gaps. And you should report recent literature, not the very old literature. Past 5 years is very crucial when you are writing a proposal. So remember, when you are writing the literature review of your proposal, you see that maximum you will put all the last 5 years research and few of the earlier ones. So don't go for, if suppose you are writing for 2020 a proposal, don't give all the bibliography or the references which are prior to 2010. It should be 2015 to 2020 maximum. What work has been done has to be highlighted in your literature. And purpose of the study which we are talking about, you have to identify and you should plan your study. What kind of problem you are trying to solve, and you should plan in a specific way how you will solve that problem. And in that should be written as aim of the research proposal. So you should write it as point wise. What is your aim towards this proposal? That should be given in a point wise manner. Okay, so when you are writing your methods, when you write your proposal, you first write your literature, then you write the methods, and then you go for the experimental, then the conclusions. These are the 4 aspects which you put in a research proposal. So when you go for the methods, you should first of all describe your study, how you are designing the study. And you should also, when I say design, this is a sort of stepwise process which you can talk when you are talking about a design of a proposal. That is, you should talk about the prospectives and also the retro prospectives of this proposal. What is the description of the proposal, what are your observations. And if you are writing a scientific proposal in science, you have to see what are the interventions in the clinical trials, and what is the survey which you are doing, what are the questions which have been raised, which are the focusing groups in India which are working on this field, and other things which that means who all are working in this field has to be mentioned in your proposal, and what kind of work they are doing, what is new in your proposal apart from what they are doing. All these things have to be taken into consideration. And also you should analyze the literature and understand what is important for you and what you have to uh, elevate in your proposal, so that will be highlighted in your proposal, so that can be accepted. Okay, timeline I was talking about. So every 3 months what you will be doing, what next 3 months what you do, all this should be mentioned in the timeline. So it has to be very specific and crisp. That is, 1 to 3 months I will be doing literature survey, 3 to 6 months I will be doing some kind of synthetic work on this, 6 to 9 months I'll be doing some other work. That way you should be, every 3 months you should be able to give the benchmark of your timeline. Okay, now if you go for the University Grants Commission, as you all know, UGC gives you both major and minor projects. Major project will be going up to 20 lakhs, and minor project, it depends upon, it gives to 6 to 7 lakhs. Okay, so when you write a proposal to the University Grants Commission, for a major research project or a minor research project, what they do is they scrutinize the proposal, and they will select some of the principal investigators, and they will announce it officially on their website, and it will not be given directly on your they will not send a letter as such. They will publish it on a website. So you have to go to the website, see whether your proposal has been selected. Once the proposal has been selected, you should give an approval for the sanction letter. That is, you have to send an acceptance certificate which is forwarded by your principal or the registrar of the university, so that your acceptance will be sent to the UGC, and then the process starts. Okay, the next process. The process is that they will, once you send an acceptance letter with a no objection certificate from your higher authorities, it means that you are willing to implement the project at the place of work. And remember, all these major and minor research projects will always be given to the colleges or the universities which are having the UGC 2F and 12B. So if your institute or the college has these, you can immediately write the projects to this UGC major and minor projects. And remember, if suppose you are transferring from one college to another college also, this project can be transferred. That is, you should take a no objection certificate from the institute where you were working earlier, and from the institute or the college where you are getting transferred. If you can do that, they will easily transfer the amount from this college to the other college. And remember, when you have given a project from under UGC major or minor, you have to acknowledge the funding agency, whatever be the funding agency. It could be UGC, CSIR, DST, SCRB, or DBT, or ICERS. You have to acknowledge them when publishing your work. Okay, that also plays a major factor when you are applying again for a new proposal. They will always ask, in the earlier proposal, did you acknowledge the funding agency? If you have acknowledged, then there is a possibility that the new project which you are writing or the proposal which you are writing will be accepted very easily. So not only that, the fellow or the project fellow whom you are taking in the proposal can also publish this work in his PhD thesis, and he can be given PhD. So you not only that you are getting a funding from the UGC, but also whoever you are taking as a fellow can also publish this work in his PhD thesis, so that he will also get a PhD, plus you will be a supervisor for one of the scholars. So that is another plus point when you are writing a proposal. Okay. Suppose you are not able to execute the project, then the problem is the entire amount of the sanctioned project has to be refunded with interest to the agency. That you have to be very careful. If you can execute, then only write the proposal, otherwise don't do it. And remember, once you write the timeline, that is, if you are writing it for 3 years, if you ask them for extension, they will never give you. So you have to plan your work in such a way that it will be completed in the stipulated time what you have written for the proposal. So no extension in tenure in any circumstances will be given to you. Okay. So when you write for a major research project of UGC, the eligibility is any regular faculty from a university or college with 2F and 12B certification, or any retired faculty also is also eligible for this funding. And as I told you, it is about 20 lakhs, and it is not a time bound advertisement. It is not that regular. You have to be visiting the website to get this advertisement. Okay, to understand when this proposal will be given. This is a website. If you want, this PPT will be shared to you. Okay. Not only that, we are talking about major and minor research projects. There are other funding which is given by University Grants Commission, that is called as Scheme for Young Scientists and Technologists. This is for postdocs, That is, after PhD, whoever is interested in pursuing their research, they are called as postdocs, and also early career scientists. If you have just joined the career of teaching and still you are interested in doing your research, then you can apply for this scheme for young scientists and technologists. Only thing, your proposal should be good enough for acceptance. Apart from that, the private organization funded organizations also can apply for Sitaram Jindal Research Fellowship scheme. And there is another fellowship called as Early Attraction of Talent for Science, that is called as SEETS. Plus you have scholarship for higher education. I will be talking about all these in the coming slides. Okay, then you have WAS A, that is Women Scientist Scheme A and Women Scientist Scheme B. A is for those who are pursuing PhD. For them, they will be giving the fellowship, and B is for those who have completed their fellowship and still are interested in research. WAS C is an internship for self-employment scheme. Under self-employment, if any women are interested in doing their own entrepreneurship, they are entrepreneurs. So if they are trying to set up their own business or a scientific lab or something like that, then also there will be funding. That is called as WASC. Okay, Cognizant Science Research Institute Initiative is another funding which is given by UGC for, again, postdocs and early scientists. Okay, and coming to the fellowships which we which are very important for students, it is for pursuing their PhD. Once they finish off their PG, and if they are interested in doing their PhD in life sciences and other science streams, then the fellowship which they can write for is called as National Eligibility Test, which is conducted by CSIR UGC, and this will give you a fellowship, plus you will also get a lecturership award. That means you can apply, when you are applying for universities, this lecturership is taken into consideration when you are applying for university jobs like assistant professor. Assistant professors will be recruited into the universities only if they have net LS. If they don't have net LS and they are applying, their application will be kept aside. So you have to be very careful that when you are doing your PhD, net LS has to be there. Once you get a JRF fellowship, obviously automatically the lecturership also will be coming. So JRF, that is Junior Research Fellowship, and also there is called as SPM, which is one second, Sham Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship. This is also given to CSIR UGC past fellows who have cleared the entrance exam of National Eligibility Test. But the thing is, for the 2 years, they will get the same fellowship as the JRF, that is 31,000 for 2 years with HRA. That will applicably, it will be going up to 50,000. So remember how much fellowship the government is giving for pursuing the PhD research in sciences. Okay, and what is the difference between the CSIR UGC and Sham Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship is, from the 3rd year onwards, in CSIR JRF, you will be getting 35,000 for the next 3 years, plus you will get 15% HRA. But if you are going for Sham Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship, the difference is the Sham Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship will be given to those scholars who have cleared CSIR JRF and getting top ranks in the CSIR JRF. So the in SPM, that is Sham Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship, from the 3rd year onwards, instead of 35,000 what the general SRF Senior Research Fellow gets, he will be getting 42,000 plus HRA. So there is an increased amount in the fellowship when you go for Shyam Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship. So only thing is you should be a top rankers, top 100 ranks can apply for Shyam Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship. There again, there will be another test. If you can clear that SPM test, then you will be given this 42,000 per month for the next 3 years of your fellowship. That is as senior research fellow. ICMR is another organization or the agency which also gives fellowships like JRF and also project fellowships, project assistant fellowships. So this is Indian Council for Medical Research. If you are doing something related to medicine, a research related to medicine, then you will be given this fellowship. And DBT, you all know, Department of Biotechnology. This also gives you JRF fellowships and also project assistant fellowship. There is another fellowship called as Prime Minister's Fellowship Scheme. This is given by MHRD, and it is given to the institutes that offer PhDs. That includes IITs, ICERs, ISC Bangalore's top central universities plus NITs, and those offer the science and technology. Those will be taken into consideration. The importance of this Prime Minister Research Scheme is that the first 2 years you will be getting 70,000 per year per month, and third year onwards you will be getting 75,000 per month. Plus, on the fourth and fifth year, you will be getting 80,000 per month. Apart from that, they will give you 2 lakhs research grant for 5 years. That is 10 lakhs. So you can understand how much amount the fellowship has. So if you are not getting CSIR or JRF, don't get disheartened. You can apply for Prime Minister Fellowship Scheme. But only thing, your project proposal should be strong enough, and important thing is that you should be having a good what do I call as a PG and UG marks. If you have good PG and UG marks, and if you have a strong proposal, you can write for Prime Minister's Fellowship Scheme. Next theme is national institutes have their own fellowships equivalent to JRF, like HCU. If you are going for Hyderabad Central University, or if you are going for Indian Institute of Sciences, you need not have the fellowship of CSIR or UGC. They have their own fellowships. So the central universities and national institutes, they have their own fellowships, and only thing, you should write their entrance. If you are clearing their entrance, they will give their own fellowship. This will be similar to the fellowship which you are getting as CSIR and UGC fellowships. Only thing, you will not get that net LS. So if you are interested in teaching and you are going for any university jobs, net LS is a must. So you write for this net LS and keep it aside. It will be applicable for many years. Whenever you are going for this interviews, if you have a net LS certificate, that will be then you are eligible for the recruitment. Okay. Apart from that, you have RFSMS fellowship, that is Research Fellowship in Sciences for Meritorious Students. This is meant for colleges or universities which are having the potential for excellence. If you can apply for potential for anyway, I will be talking in the coming slides about potential for excellence, or with potential for excellence of advanced education. If you have these two in your college, then you can apply for RFSMS. That is potential for excellence or potential for excellence of advanced education. If you have this status for your college, then you can apply for this RFSMS. Then the other one is the eligibility is you should be from sciences, engineering, or agricultural sciences. or biosciences. Any of these sciences will be eligible for the fellowship, and the fellowship is 8,000 per month, and contingency will be given for 6,000 per year. So that is the funding criteria for this RFSMS. Apart from that, you have Rajiv Gandhi Fellowship for SC/STs, that is called as RGNF fellowships, and this fellowship is for 16,000 per month for 2 years and 18,000 per month for 3 years. Plus they give 10,000 contingency for 2 years and 20,500 contingency for 3 years if you are applying for PhD in humanities or social sciences. And if you are from sciences, the contingency will be for 12,000 per 2 years and 25,000 per annum for 3 years. So this is one of the fellowship which is given for SC/ST students. If you are interested in pursuing research after your PG, you can also apply for this RGNF fellowship. Okay, you can go for Ministry of Tribal Welfare, and then you can apply there for this fellowships. Then the next one is Maulana Azad Fellowship for Minorities. This fellowship is for minorities, funded by Ministry of Minority Affairs. And when we call as minorities, minorities not only Muslims, Sikhs, Parsis, Buddhists, Christians, and Jains. All these come under minorities. So all these people can apply for this Maulana Azad National Fellowship for Minorities, and this is also for PhD. So this fellowship is 25,000 for 2 years per month. They give 25,000 per month for 2 years and 28,000 per month for 3 years for the students who are interested in pursuing their PhD. Apart from that, the same contingency which I was talking about for the RGNF will be given to these. That is 10,000 per annum for 2 years and 20,500 per annum for 3 years for humanities and social sciences, and 12,000 per annum for 2 years and 25,000 per annum for 3 years for the sciences and engineering. Okay. Not only that, you have Inspire Fellowship for university toppers. If suppose any of the students from the college are university toppers, then they can apply for the Inspire Fellowship. And again, this fellowship is for pursuing your PhD, and it is 25,000 per month for 2 years and 28,000 per month for 3 years. Plus they give you 20,000 contingency for 5 years. So you understand the amount which they are giving to increase the scientific temperament in the students, so that they can pursue their higher education in the interested field whichever they want. So not only that, faculty research promotion schemes, that is called as FRPS, is given by University Grants Commission, where if you have just started your career as a teacher in a college or a university or an institute which is having 2F12B status, then they immediately, once you join, you can apply for a startup grant, that is called as early grant. That startup grant, I will be giving you the statistics about this and who are eligible in the coming slides. So if you are at a mid point of your career and you are also wanting to get the funding, you can write for a one-time grant under UGC that will give you a huge amount, that is approximately crore of rupees will be given as one-time grant to pursue your research. And if suppose you have retired and you are still interested in doing your research after your career of teaching, then you will be given basic science research faculty fellowship. Okay, that is a fellowship which is given to the retired teachers who want to pursue their research after their retirement. Okay, these are three important aspects when you are doing your teaching, plus you can also do your research. Okay, I talked about Maulana Azad Fellowship, I talked about Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship. Then we have postgraduate Indira Gandhi Scholarship for single girl child. This is an important fellowship where uh, the the girl, whoever is, should be a single child of the parent, and the fellowship is for 3,000 students from India, and this is approximately 36,200 per month. For 2 years they pursue for their post graduation. 36,200 will be given per month for doing their post graduation. So see the amount, how much they are giving, and if you are a single child. And the next one is postgraduate merit scholarship for university rank holders. So merit scholarship is for approximately again 3,100 per month for 2 years is what they give for this fellowship. Then you have postdoctoral fellowships, that is called as Kotari Fellowship. So Dr. D.S. Kotari postdoctoral fellowship will be given for those who have finished their PhD, and if they are interested in doing their postdoctoral fellowship, then it is approximately 43,800 for the first year, 45,000 for the second year, 46,500 for the third year. So this much amount is being given for pursuing your postdoctoral. And also a postdoctoral scholarship for SC/ST candidates is also being given. So here the fellowship is 35,000 per year for 2 years, and 36,000 per month for 2 years, and 46,500 for the third year per month. Okay. The next one is postdoctoral fellowship for women. When we talk about postdoctoral fellowship for women, it is approximately 38,000 to 46,500 for 5 years they give for the women candidates who have finished their PhD and is still interested. If you are still interested in doing research, then you can go for postdoctoral fellowship to women. Okay. Research award for teachers is another criteria which is given by UGC. So the research award for teacher is based on the selection. For the selection will be for the regular teachers who are in regular service, and your institute or the college should be recognized by the 2F and 12B, and you should be a permanent staff there with less than 45 years of age. Then you will be given a financial assistance. If you are from humanities or social sciences, then they give you 2 lakhs, and if you are from sciences or engineering or technology background, then they give you 3 lakhs per year. Then we have Raman Fellowship. Raman Fellowship is again for postdoctoral fellows who are interested in pursuing their research in USA. Then they will be given $3,000 per month for doing their postdoctoral research. So emeritus professor fellowship is for again professors or teachers who have finished their who have retired from their services, and generally 100 slots are given for sciences and 100 slots for humanities, social sciences, and other languages. If you are still interested, if you are retiring and still interested in doing research in the field, then you can apply for emeritus professor. They will give you 31,000 per month for 2 years for as a fellowship, and a contingency of 50,000 will be given. So this is about the UGC. And you have the other fellowship, JRF, Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship, MRF. I will talk about Dr. S. Radhakrishnan Fellowship. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan Fellowship again is for postdoctoral fellows, and this will be given to the person who is less than 35 years of age, plus they should have 55% marks in UG, 60% marks in PG. And this fellowship is given for 200 people per year. And remember, the fellowship, it is 38,000 for the first year, 40,000 for the second year, and 41,900 for the third year, plus contingency of 50,000. So see the amount which they are giving. Apart from that, you have special assistance program, that is SAP. I will be talking elaborately on SAP in the coming slides. I don't want to talk about this in this slide. Plus you have Swami Vivekananda Single Girl Child Fellowship. So Swami Vivekananda Single Girl Child Fellowship is for social sciences. If you are planning to pursue your research in social sciences, this fellowship is for those people, those students who are single child, and the fellowship is approximately 25,000 per month for 2 years and 28,000 for 3 years. So total 5 years fellowship will be given for pursuing the research and in social sciences. Then there is Ishan Uday Fellowship. When you talk about Ishan Uday, it is for the northeastern region people. For the PG itself, they give you, for pursuing your degree as well as PG, they give you fellowship. So it is 7,800 per month they give for degree and PG. So once you finish your UG and PG with this fellowship, then it is very easy to get a PhD fellowship from Ishan Uday. Not only that, you have national fellowship for OBCs. That fellowship is given for 300 students per year for pursuing their PhD. This is again 25,000 for 2 years and 28,000 for 3 years, plus 10,000 per year contingency and 20,500 per year for the next 3 years. For sciences, if you are talking about national fellowship for OBC, again the fellowship is 25,000 per month for 2 years and 28,000 per month for 3 years, plus they will be given 12,000 per annum as contingency for 2 years and 25,000 per annum as contingency for 3 years. So these are the different policies which UGC has as fellowships. So if we talk about the faculty research promotion schemes, these research promotion schemes, what I was talking about, at the entry level, if you are at the entry level and you are looking for money to start your own startup or a research, then this is the startup grant which is given by UGC to commence your career. And the mid-level faculty mid-career award is for those who are in the middle of their career and want to pursue increase their research efforts, and they want to procure some other instruments under this category, that this will be only given to those who are already in research and they want to promote their research. For those, this mid-career award is. Okay. Senior level faculty is for BSR, Basic Science Research Faculty Fellowship. This is given for those faculty who are superannuated and they have a research career in the earlier stages and who are still interested in doing research. For those, this senior level faculty program is conducted. Then this is another one which is called as Inspire Faculty Scheme. This is given by DST and Indian National Science Academy. Both put together are the funding agency for this. Only eligibility is you have to be a PhD in science and with an age limit of 32 years. And you should have publications in high impact journals. If you have these criteria, then there is a 3-selection process, 3-tier screening process. And if you can clear that, you will be getting 80,000 per month salary plus 7 lakhs per year as a research grant up to 5 years. Once you finish off your 5-year tenure and you are still interested in pursuing the research, you should again apply. and they will just scrutinize your application, whether the amount given to you and the salary which is given to you, with that, have you improved your research caliber? If you have improved and you have given more number of publications in high impact journals, then automatically another 5 years they will increase. So this 5 years tenure will go on, and you can continue your services until you attain 60 or 65 years. Okay, so you need not have a job as such. You can as well be called as an inspire faculty, and you will get a salary of 80,000 plus 7 lakhs per year research grant to pursue your research. Okay, so you need not be recruited as a faculty member anywhere. You can directly write to inspire and get your salary plus the research grant. Okay, apart from that, we have early career schemes of Wellcome Trust and DBT. Wellcome Trust is an organization which also funds for sciences. So DBT along with Wellcome Trust, these two are the funding agencies which will give you funding. Only thing, you should be a PhD, PhD in life sciences, and you should be from a institute which is a non-profit institute. If you there's no age limit for this, and once a year this will be given. You can apply, and the amount which is given is 1.7 crores for a maximum of 5 years, and this is the website which you can go for to get this amount. So once you have finished your PhD and if you are interested in research, then you can go for this. Then there is one more called as Science and Engineering Research Board Women Scientist Award or Women Excellence Award, which we call it as. This will be given to the women scientists who have been recognized by Young Scientist Medal or Young Associate with INSA or Indian Academy of Sciences, National Academy of Sciences, or National Academy of Medical Sciences or Agricultural Sciences. But the age limit is 40 years. Amount given is 5 lakhs per year for 3 years. This will be an additional income for those who are already working. Okay. Then this is another thing is national PDF, that is called as NPDF. So this is again given by Science and Engineering Research Board. PhD is a must. 35 years is the age limit, and it all selection is based on your project proposal, and this will be done twice a year. Amount given to the PDF is 55,000 per month, and a research grant of 2 lakhs plus 1 lakh will be given as contingency for the research. Okay. But only thing is you should search the host institute and the mentor, whoever is interested in taking you as a national PDF. So you should send a no objection certificate from the mentor and the institute to get the national PDF. And private universities without 2F and 12B also are eligible for this national PDF fellowship. This is another fellowship which is called as Biotech Ignition Grant, which is given by DBT for both faculty as well as researchers. There's no age limit. This is twice a year they give it. 50 lakhs is what is the amount which is given. And you have to find the incubation center. Incubation centers are, if you are talking about Hyderabad, we have an incubation center in Hyderabad Central University. So if you are interested in doing some biotechnology research, and if you can search for an incubation center, and if the incubation center gives you a no objection certificate, then you can start your research there. Also getting your salary here, and plus you will get an amount of 50 lakhs. So this is another important fellowship, and this can be used as a startup to start your own biotechnology institute. Okay, this is extramural research funding by SCRB, that is Science and Engineering Research Board. So any faculty member who is permanent or the scientist from any science stream can apply for this. There is no limit for age, neither for age nor for the amount which you are asking. You can ask for crores. They will also give, but only thing, your project should be a strong and an impressive project. And you can also collaborate with other institutes if you are interested, that you feel that your college or university is not having so many fund infrastructure as expected. Then you can collaborate with other institutes, and the funding will be given to you, and you can use it for doing your research. Okay, this is from extramural grant from CSIR. Again, this is for faculty plus scientists. No age limit, no limit for the amount also. It is only selected based on the project, and this is for throughout the year. Any time you can apply for this. Only thing, you go to Google, type this extramural grant of CSIR, you will get all the details what are required. Only thing, the project should be very strong. Okay. ICMR also gives you extra EMR projects. EMR projects, when we talk about no age limit, no amount limit, throughout the year you can apply. Only thing is, it should be implicated towards health and medicine. That is the reason it is ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research. If you have any project related to health or medical sciences, then you can apply for this project. Okay. DBT is another organization which will fund for extramural research. So faculty and scientists can apply throughout the year, and no age limit, no limit for the amount, only project. How the project is, based on that it will be given. There is another one called as Women Scientist Scheme, where the women will be given a priority for doing the research. So women researchers or scientists, whoever have finished their PhD and are willing to work on a research project, and only thing, they should be unemployed. For this is not for faculty members, but those who are not employed can apply for this project. Okay, this is a website, you can check for that. I was talking about startup grant by UGC, which is called as UGC Faculty Research Promotion Scheme. So this is given for assistant professors of universities. 10 lakh is what is given to them, and this is for throughout the year. So generally 6 to 7 lakhs is what the University Grants Commission gives for startup. Okay. Intermediate fellowship scheme for by DBT, again, this is 4 to 7 years of post PhD experience is a must, and permanent or temporary position holders can apply for this. 3.6 crores is what is given as the amount, and duration is 5 years, and once in a year you get this application. Senior research fellowship, senior fellowship of Wellcome Trust and DBT, again, more than 8 years of research experience is what is required, plus 4.5 crores of amount is given, and this is for the biomedical and health research purpose. Okay, once a year, and this is a website. So whoever are interested in applying at a special category, you can go for this. This is another one which is called as Margadarshi Fellowship. Again, it is by Wellcome Trust and DBT. This is a fellowship which is for the people who have a vision towards biomedical science, biomedical research, or who are having a cutting edge research program, and if they are interested in collaborating with Indian host institutions, they can apply for this. And there will be a collaborative effect between the host institute and the institute which is present here, and they can have a collaboration and improve their existing scientific knowledge with the host institute. That is what is meant for this. Eligibility is 10 years research experience with good publications, and they should be a permanent faculty. If you have all these criteria, then you can apply for Margadarshi Fellowship. I was talking about Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship for SC/ST students. So those who are pursuing MPhil and PhD can apply for this, and 2F is the criteria for this fellowship. If the institute or college has this 2F fellowship, 2F criteria, then they can the students can apply for this fellowship. Okay. Total number of fresh fellowships given is 750 fellowships per year. So you can understand how much of funding is given for improving the SC/ST students for pursuing their PhD. But only thing is the total income, family income of the candidate should be less than 6 lakhs per annum. Okay. So this is how the criteria is: to 25,000 per month for MPhil, 28,000 per month for PhD, and these are the contingency grants: 1 lakh 10,000 per year and 20,500 per year. So what for these can be used is for tuition fees, stationery, living expenses, computers and accessories. You can buy anything. Now I will go for the college. If you are looking for development and funding from the colleges, then you can apply for college with potential for excellence, that is called as CPE status. Under the CPE status, 3% of the number of colleges covered under the section 2F and 12B under the UGC Act will be taken into consideration. You have to apply for this. Okay. If you are applying and if your college has the status, that is, the weightage will be based on the geographic region. Where is it situated? Is it in the urban or the rural area? What is the background of this? How many backward region people are there? Is it a women's college, or do the college has, apart from the creamy layer of, do they have SC/ST OBC students present in their college? If there are given, if you give all these inputs to the UGC, then there is a possibility that you will be getting the college with potential for excellence scheme. And this year, more than 100 new colleges are proposed to be selected under the CPE status. So if your college doesn't have this status, it is always advised to go for this college with potential for excellence. It is a format given by UGC. You have to go through the format and fill up all the things together, and then you should say what are the potentials which you have in your college that will help you to excel, and then you can get it. And this amount is a very huge amount for the college, and it will be going up to 100 lakhs to 150 lakhs depending upon what kind of criteria you have. And you should be a college of 10-year-old college, and has to be aided by the government or a constituent college, and it has to be a NAC accredited college with minimum 3 stars, a B grade. And if you have not, if you have completed the validated period, you should be in the position of re-accreditation. You must have already applied for re-accreditation. If you have all these prerequisites, then it is very easy to apply for college with potential for excellence. There is another program by UGC which is called as Special Assistance Program. There is a 3-level program which is called as Center of Advanced Studies, which is called as CAS, Department of Special Assistance, and Department of Research Support. Research support will be generally given for universities where there is a high-end research going on, but Center of Advanced Studies is what you can apply for, or Department of Special Assistance for a particular department. If you are applying for a department, then you can apply for DSA. If it is for the college, you can apply for Center for Advanced Studies. So these are the 3 levels in which you can apply for Special Assistant Program. And the SAP program will identify and support the departments which have the potential to undertake quality teaching and research in education in different applied allied disciplines. Okay, apart from that, you can that also helps in increasing the societal needs and also the industry interaction. The research should be in such a way that it is helping the society to improve, plus this SAP program will help in industry interaction. These two are very, very important when we are talking about SAP, that is special assistance program. And because of this funding, the funding will help as a catalyst for improving the teaching and also improving the new courses related to the thrust areas of research. Okay, so at the PG level, you can introduce new courses which are of a cutting edge when you are talking about research. Okay, those can be added up to the thrust areas and then you can apply. Okay, and also there are expertise who are having a research experience in the college. They also the research or the expertise which you have to highlight in your proposal to understand that this expertise will be useful, and this is helping the college to improve their research. Plus you can ask for infrastructure, and these whatever you are asking, those can be helping in getting a good output of research and development for the nation as well as for the society. And you can train and create quality human resources in identified thrust areas. Once you identify these thrust areas at the PG level, you are trying to teach the students those thrust areas, and because of that, the human resource which you are sending into the society will be of an improved quality. So this way, SAP will help in promoting new research and generic areas in the field. So the eligibility for special assistant program under UGC guidelines is you should be having 2F and 12B under the UGC Act, plus you should have the potential to undertake quality teaching and research when you are submitting your proposal for the SAP. Plus the important thing is the department should have at least 6 teachers including 1 professor. Then you can go for the departmental research scheme. Otherwise, third scheme which I am talking about, first 2 schemes there is no problem, you can apply as well. But if you are going for the department research scheme, then you should have 6 teachers plus 1 professor. That is the reason I was telling this is meant for universities. Okay, duration of the SAP program is for 5 years, and this will be given only for three times. Every 5 years you can again upgrade, you can again ask for the assistance. So for 3 years, that is 15 years, they will give you this assistance. Okay, and this will help you to improve your teaching as well as the research programs in your college. And every 1st April of the year, this phase will be starting, so you should apply beforehand. The financial assistance given to the colleges are, if you are going for Center of Advanced Studies, it is 300 lakhs which is given, and if it is math, statistics and humanities and social sciences, you will be given 200. If you are going for department with special assistance, it is 200 lakhs and 150 lakhs respectively. If you are going for department and departmental research thing, it is 150 and 120. Okay, so if you are interested in applying for SAP program, you should go to UGC SAP website and look for the assistance program. Then another opportunity for the colleges is the funding which is given by DST, which is called as Fund for Improvement of Science and Technology Infrastructure in Higher Education Institutes, which is called as FIST. So this support is given for a period of 5 years, and this is given in 3 levels. Level 0 is for PG colleges with relatively active teaching and moderate funding for improving their teaching qualities. Level 1 is for universities with an established teaching and research programs, and moderate funding will be given for improving teaching and research qualities. Okay, infrastructure is what they are more interested in improving in this FIST program. So you can apply for FIST level 0 if you are a college, and then get the amount for yourself. Okay, level 3 is meant for well established departments and with a state of art equipment. If they have, then they can apply for it. Then the next fellowship is Tata Innovation Fellowship, which is given by Department of Biotechnology. It is a competitive scheme. Generally high impact institutions will get this fellowship, that is called as Tata Innovative Fellowship. So this is given by Ministry of Science and Technology, and this is actually a reward towards the scientists with an outstanding track and record in biological and biotechnology fields. And also major funding will be given for healthcare, agriculture and environment and allied areas. So the amount of fellowship is 25,000 per month in addition to the regular salary what they get from the post institute. This is meant for those who are working in biological and biotechnological sciences. DRDO is another agency which gives a research grant for science streams which are interested in doing research for Indian defense. The project amount is there is no limit, and frequency also. You have to go to the website of DRDO and see how the application has to be uploaded and when. And it is said to be a regular position holder. If you are getting this fellowship, then you will be a regular fellowship holder for the DRDO. Okay. Then the next one is Department of Atomic Energy. This is given by Board of Research in Nuclear Sciences, and this is for physics and chemistry stream. But if any life sciences people are interested in atomic energy research, they can also apply for this. And any regular position holders can apply, are eligible for this. And this is a website which you can talk about. This TARE is another important program for teachers associateship for research excellence. When you are into a teaching profession and you want to start your own research and you don't know where to start with, then you can link up with any institute who is having a research, and then you can apply for this TARE program. And this TARE program will be in collaboration with another institute of having a good research reputation, so that you will be given some kind of fellowship to go and work with this institutes and improve your research caliber. Once you improve your research caliber, they will ask you to apply for the proposal, project proposal from your end with the knowledge what you have gained from the research institute. Once you get this research knowledge, then you can apply for the proposal, and then the funding will be given to you, so that you can start your own research in your college. Okay. So DST is another agency which will give you the fundings like extramural research funding, which I've talked about in the earlier slides, startup research grant, plus Inspire Faculty, Ramanujan Fellowship, JC Bose Fellowships, plus Young Biotechnology Awards, then DAE BIRAC Fellowships. All these will be given by DST. there are a lot of fellowships which can be applied by the PG students to get their own fellowships. So this is the end of the talk. Hope I have given you the insights and inputs where you can go in for the different funding agencies to get the fund to improve your infrastructure and research. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your informative session. Now I request our secretary cum correspondent, Major G. Shivkiran sir, to address our gathering on closing remarks of our webinar.
Yeah, at the outset, I should say this has been a wonderful opportunity to be listening to Professor Vijayalata ma'am explaining all the resources available. In fact, I was just interacting with our staff members and trying to find out, Dr. Vanaja will agree, that we were trying to find out where are the sources wherein we can apply. So I'm glad this has happened now at this correct time. And thank you, ma'am, Professor Vijayalata ma'am, for really highlighting all the avenues that are available. It looks very convenient, really, if somebody wants to pursue as an institution or as a student for the various schemes. Only question I had was, how many, now for instance, we are representing Dr. Vanaja and the faculty members are here, the Kasturba College. I don't know if anybody has really applied for these schemes till now. I was wondering what has been the obstacle or hindrance when they have not been able to apply. And do you think any capacity building is required for institutions and I would say faculty members to try and apply for this? We will definitely look at the sites that you have mentioned. I also had one question regarding the 2F and 12B. You mentioned repeatedly 2F and 12B. What could that be? And does a college like Kasturba qualify to apply for these scholarships, fellowships, and other schemes? But I would like to really thank you. I mean, it's been wonderful. You explained the various schemes, and I'm sure all those people listening to these, to your presentation today, will surely benefit and I mean, pursue a career on research, because that's where I think you've been hinting at. So thank you so much, ma'am. And if you could clarify whatever I asked, it will be nice. Thank you.
I think Kasturba College has 2F and 12B, sir.
Yes,
yes, they have 2F and 12B. That is the reason I was hinting towards that. If you have this 2F and 12B status from UGC, all the funding, whatever I was talking about, you are all eligible for that. Only thing, you should be having a good project proposal, a strong proposal. If you have a strong proposal and if you are applying for it, definitely the organizations give. Let it be SAP or it will be Center for Potential for Excellence. Any of this, if you are interested in applying for as a college, you can apply. And there is a lot of funding available in UGC for improving the infrastructure and research in the colleges, especially because at the college level, if we can improve the science and technology, the nation will be going further in science and technology. That is the aspect which is being taken up by UGC. So they are trying to fund many of the colleges which have this kind of criteria. And if you can write a good proposal, then there is a chance of getting this. Let it be SAP or CPE. If you have the SAP and CPE status, then the other funding automatically comes to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. It's very informative, very useful. Thank you so much. Grateful for your time.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam. There are some queries, madam.
Yeah.
Now I request Professor Vijayalata madam to share her views to the queries. UG one semester internship for UG courses. What is the vertical mobility of students' internship?
Can you get back?
What is the internship embedded degree program? I mean,
internship embedded degree program is nothing but you will also do some kind of internship when you are doing your degree. Internship is nothing but you have to have a project done from an well-known institute which is having a research, so that you will be given internship. That is nothing but you are also given a fellowship along with your degree course. That is called as internship embedded degree course.
For all streams, will it be applicable to all streams, madam?
Yes, all streams,
Okay. Thank you, madam.
especially for sciences. But if any other stream is interested, they should have an institute closer to them, who are interested in making their degree students work as interns in their institute. Since we have sciences institutes, all science and technology institutes around, we can go for intern embedded degree courses. But if any other institute which is interested in other subjects also are willing to go for this, then you can go for the other streams also.
Okay, thank you, madam. Now I request Dr. M. Shalini, Head Department of Computer Science and UGC Coordinator, to give away vote of thanks. Over to Shalini, madam.
Thank you, Vanaja. A very good evening to all the participants present in today's webinar. I am honored to have the opportunity to give vote of thanks on this special day. On behalf of UGC KGCW, I take the privilege to thank our chairman, Dr. N. Surinder sir, our honorary secretary cum correspondent, Major G. Shivkiran sir, our treasurer, Abdul Farooqi sir, and all other management members of our college, our principal, Dr. P. Sunita madam, our vice principal, Dr. R. Rajshri ma'am, for giving us the freedom and constant support for the smooth conduct of this webinar on UGC guidelines and its implications. Firstly, a special thanks to Professor M. Vijayalata ma'am for taking her time out to interact with the faculty and students irrespective of a busy schedule for enlightening us. It was indeed an excellent informative session on UGC guidelines given in a practical and visually appealing way. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all important persons, faculty and students who have been part of this wonderful session today. Many thanks to our technical team for their technical support. I thank Dr. Vanaja, who supported very well to coordinate this session. Finally, I thank you all, the faculty and students, for joining us today. Hope you made good learnings. Looking forward to put some of the concepts learned today into practice. Thank you, ma'am, once again for the interesting, incredible, useful session.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for highlighting terms like how to join scientific group, build good relationship, national projects like novelty in projects, budget should not be very high, key points on research proposals, plagiarism-free, research proposal elements, UGC major and minor projects, fellowships for pursuing PhD, inspiring fellowship for university toppers, single girl child scholarship, postdoctoral science, NPDF schemes, college for potential excellence, FIST support for colleges, how to get amount, and Tata Innovative Fellowships, etc. Thank you, ma'am, once again for the interesting and incredibly useful session. Dear participants, feedback link will be provided in the chat box and also WhatsApp group. Kindly fill the feedback form and submit. E-certificates will be provided and sent to your mail. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Shalini ma'am, the feedback link is posted.
Okay.
in the chat box. Should we wait for a minute or should I end the session?
Yeah, we'll wait for 5 minutes and then we can end it.
Okay, fine. Just let me know. I'll end.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. మేడం చెప్పండి అటెండ్ అయ్యే అవును అవునవును ఎట్లా ఉంది మొత్తం మీద సెషన్
Yeah, Vidya, we can leave. We can just end the session now.
Okay, I'll end it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
You can stop recording. Vidya.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing it.